There's a moment every man remembers, not because it was loud, but because it was humiliatingly quiet. She asked a question that shouldn't to have mattered. "Why didn't you text me back right away?" And before he even realized it, his mouth moved. He started explaining where he was, explaining what he meant, explaining himself. That's the instant the gravity reversed. From that second on, he was no longer the center of the room. He was orbiting her. Justification is the softest form of surrender. You think you're restoring harmony, but what you're really doing is handing over your frame, your inner spine, in exchange for approval. And once you start trading truth for validation, your soul begins to negotiate its own worth. It's not about women. It's not even about relationships. It's about control, the kind you lose the moment you need to prove your innocence. Because when you explain, you imply guilt, and when you justify, you confess weakness. Most men believe control is about dominance, command, or silence. But control, real control, is presence without permission. It's when your energy says everything that your words are too afraid to. The world rewards the man who explains until it despises him. It forgives excuses until it smells the fear behind them. And the tragic irony, the more he tries to appear understood, the less he is respected. So the question isn't, why did you justify yourself? It's what part of you needed to. Because every justification is a prayer to the God of approval, and every time you kneel there, you make her, the world, or your own guilt, your new religion. It always starts small. You think you're being kind, mature, reasonable. She asks why you didn't call back. You smile and say, "I was busy at work." You feel calm, logical, proud even, as if explaining yourself proves you care. But she doesn't hear busy, she hears hesitation. And she smells weakness, the invisible kind, the one that comes wrapped in politeness. You don't notice it at first. You tell yourself this is what good men do: communicate, clarify, make peace. You've been taught that love means transparency. But no one told you that total transparency kills polarity. So the next time you explain faster. You justify longer. You start editing your truth before it even leaves your mouth. You used to speak like a man, short, direct, from the chest. Now your words come with disclaimers, with softeners, with hidden anxiety. Just to be clear, I didn't mean it like that. I was only trying to help. Every sentence bends slightly, as if bowing. You don't see it, but she does. And every time you justify, she feels a strange mixture of safety and disgust. Safety, because you won't fight back. Disgust, because she can feel she could break you if she wanted to. You tell yourself she's just emotional. You tell yourself it's temporary. But deep down, you feel the shift. You feel it when she stops asking what you think and starts testing how much you'll tolerate. You feel it when your calm tone starts sounding like begging, even to you. You feel it when silence becomes your enemy and over-explaining becomes your drug. And so you begin to chase control with words. Every sentence becomes a leash. You pull tighter, thinking she'll finally understand, but she only drifts farther. You think you're building connection. She feels the gravity fading. That yes, when it hits you, you're no longer leading the frame of the moment, you're reacting to it. You've become the echo of her emotions, not the source of your own. And the cruel part? You started with the best intentions. You just wanted peace, but peace bought with justification is a contract signed in self-betrayal. What actually happens when you justify yourself isn't moral, it's biological. You think you're reasoning, but your brain isn't negotiating truth, it's negotiating safety. The male brain is wired to protect structure, hierarchy, order, stability. So when someone questions your behavior, especially someone emotionally important, your nervous system interprets it as a threat to belonging. Instantly, your prefrontal cortex, logic, clarity, truth, goes dim. and your limbic system, the primitive regulator of approval and rejection, takes the wheel. You start explaining, not to convince her, but to regulate your own panic. You're no longer in control, you're in survival mode. Every justification is a biological submission cue. In nature, when a primate exposes his belly, he's not showing honesty. He's signaling surrender. Modern men do it with words instead of posture. We over-explain, apologize, elaborate, all in the name of being understood. But the feminine nervous system doesn't interpret your words logically. It reads the energy beneath them. To her body, your verbal overcompensation feels like an energetic collapse, the opposite of safety. That's why the more you explain, the less she trusts you. In evolutionary terms, women calibrate dominance and competence through stillness. A man's ability to hold tension, emotional, social, sexual, without scrambling to fix it. Because tension is a test of nervous system strength. And when you justify, you release the tension too early. You spill your gravity. You become predictable. And predictability kills polarity. This is why silence in the right context feels like power. It's not manipulation, it's regulation. Silence means, I can hold my center even if you don't understand me. And that signal, calm under uncertainty, is the deepest masculine instinct. Your words are not the problem. Your need to be believed is. Because the moment your worth depends on external validation, your biology shifts from sovereign to servant. And here lies the forbidden mechanism. Justification is not communication. It's self-abandonment disguised as virtue. You trade inner stillness for external peace. You sell your center for approval, and you call it love. Watch the pattern. It repeats everywhere. Different settings, same collapse. A man in a relationship explains why he didn't answer a text for 3 hours. A man at work explains why he didn't reply to an email that same afternoon. A man online explains why he believes what he believes. Different languages, same instinct. He's trying to secure peace, not from logic, but from the fear of disconnection. You can see it in his eyes, that micro-hesitation before speaking. He's not asking himself, what's true? He's asking, what will keep me safe right now? And the moment that question becomes his compass, control evaporates. Because control isn't the ability to dominate others. It is the ability to remain unshaken when misunderstood. The men who hold the most gravity rarely need to correct perception. They let the world misinterpret them and stay still inside that storm. Take the man at dinner with his girlfriend. She accuses him of acting distant. He rushes to explain, "No, I'm just tired. You know how work's been." He's calm, reasonable, but something subtle dies in her eyes. He didn't defend himself. He deflated. She wasn't craving explanation. She was testing his center, the invisible core that says, I won't lose myself just to make you feel momentarily safe. She needed to feel his stillness, not his speech. Now watch it in the office. The boss questions his idea. Instead of holding posture, he floods the air with reasons, qualifications, backstory. By the time he's done, no one remembers the idea. They remember his anxiety. And in that moment, authority leaks out of him like air from a punctured tire. And then society at large. A man dares to speak a hard truth, something unpopular, something real. He's attacked, and he panics. He starts clarifying, apologizing, explaining the context, but the mob doesn't want context. It wants compliance. And his words, no matter how polished, are blood in the water. This is the spiral of proof. The more you try to prove you're good, the more you signal guilt. The more you try to be understood, the more you broadcast insecurity. You can't convince people of your gravity. You can only embody it. And yet men keep trying because deep down they mistake approval for control. But approval is not power. It's dependency with good lighting. The paradox is brutal. The moment you stop explaining, the world resists you. But if you hold still, completely still, something shifts. People stop testing, women stop arguing, opportunities start orbiting again. Because silence is not emptiness, it's evidence. It always happens quietly, not in a fight, not in chaos, but in the stillness that comes after you've said too much. I remember the night mine broke. She stood by the window, arms crossed, the silence sharp enough to bleed. I had just finished explaining, again, why I hadn't called, why I'd been distant, why everything I did had a reason. I thought I was being transparent, mature, but she didn't look moved. She looked bored. Then she said something that cut deeper than any scream could have. "You always talk like you're defending yourself in a trial I never opened." And I realized I was. Every conversation had become a courtroom where I begged for innocence. Every word was an attempt to prove I was still a good man. That night, I felt the full weight of it. I had become addicted to justification. It wasn't tea about her anymore. It was about the silence I couldn't stand inside myself, because silence had become dangerous. It forced me to hear the echo of my own insecurity, the truth that I didn't to believe in my worth unless someone else confirmed it. That's when I saw the pattern stretch backward in time. My father explaining to my mother why he was late. My boss explaining to a younger colleague why the company had to make tough choices. My friends explaining to women who no longer respected them why they deserved another chance. Different lives, same wound. Men mistaking justification for connection. I sat there, feeling the emptiness of my own voice, and for the first time I didn't speak. I didn't defend, didn't correct, didn't try to restore her image of me. I just watched her eyes and felt the discomfort crawl through my chest like fire. It burned because in that silence I was finally seeing the truth. I wasn't afraid of losing her. I was afraid of being unseen and realizing that my worth wasn't strong enough to survive misunderstanding. That was the collapse. The realization that my entire life was built on a nervous system begging for permission to exist. And when you see that, when you really see it, something inside you dies. The man who explains dies. The boy who chases reassurance dies. And what's left is raw, trembling and real, a silence that feels like both death and rebirth. She didn't say another word that night. Neither did I. But something shifted in the air. For the first time, I felt gravity again, not hers, but mine. And it was terrifying. Because power, when you haven't felt it in years, doesn't feel like confidence. It feels like exposure. Here's what no one tells you about control. You don't reclaim it by speaking louder. You reclaim it by speaking less and meaning more. There are laws every man must learn if he wants to stop leaking his power through justification, not advice, laws. Because this isn't about strategy, it's about nervous system dominance. Law 1, never explain emotion under pressure. When tension rises, silence is your spine. The need to explain what you feel is a trick from the primitive brain, the part that fears rejection more than death. If she doesn't understand you in that moment, let her confusion sit. Let her feel the weight of your stillness, because explanation releases tension, and tension is where respect is born. Law 2, separate understanding from approval. You owe the world clarity, not agreement. Stop confusing comprehension with validation. A grounded man doesn't crave being seen. He ensures his message is true, even if it is unpopular. You are not required to make your truth comfortable for others to digest. Law 3. Hold the pause. Between accusation and reaction lies the battlefield. Count 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, every instinct will scream, defend yourself. Don't. Let gravity build. Power lives in that pause. It's where she feels your nervous system, not your words. Law 4, speak once, mean it, and stop. Repeating your point doesn't make it stronger, it makes it weaker. The masculine voice loses voltage with each unnecessary word. State your truth cleanly, then stop. Let silence deliver what repetition cannot. Law 5, audit every sentence for approval seeking. Before you speak, ask, am I trying to be understood or trying to be liked? If the answer is the second, your words will betray you. Approval-seeking tone is detectable, even if the logic is flawless. Strip your speech of apologies, disclaimers, and nervous laughter. Every filler word is a tax on your authority. Law 6. Stop trying to be trusted. Trust is a byproduct of stillness, not persuasion. A man who demands trust is a man who already lost it. Be predictable in your integrity, not your performance. If your energy remains calm under accusation, truth will orbit back to you without you chasing it. These aren't techniques, they're calibrations. The shift isn't intellectual, it's physiological. When your nervous system stops treating misunderstanding as danger, your presence becomes magnetic. You'll notice people interrupt you less. They'll lean in more. And she, the woman who once tested your frame, will start breathing differently around you. Because women don't fall for explanations, they fall for energy that doesn't flinch. Control isn't something you have, it's something you become. You don't hold control, you embody it. And the moment you start explaining who you are, you've already betrayed that identity. Because truth doesn't need narration, it needs presence. The masculine frame isn't about dominance, it's about density. A gravity that doesn't rush to fill the silence. When you stop chasing understanding, you begin to radiate something deeper than approval, certainty. In the end, you realize something painful but freeing. You were never arguing with her. You were arguing with your own reflection, the version of you that needed permission to exist. And every justification was a negotiation with that ghost. But the man who stands still in misunderstanding, he's not cold, he's free, because when you stop explaining, you stop performing. And when you stop performing, the world starts calibrating to your tempo. The chaos around you slows down, not because it became softer, but because your nervous system stopped obeying it. This is the paradox most men never reach. To regain control, you must surrender the need to prove you have it. Only then does the feminine stop testing. Only then do opportunities, respect, and peace start orbiting again. Not because you demanded them, but because you embodied them. If you truly want power, stop trying to be understood. Let your silence become your mirror. Because silence terrifies those who live by noise and attracts those who live by truth. So the next time someone demands an explanation for your calm, don't defend it. Smile, because gravity never explains why everything falls toward it.